Mic check 1 2 1 2. Ladies, gentlemen, fellas. Ready? Get the fuck back up there. Hey. Ladies, gentlemen, fellas. Hey, we're back. And today we're doing a little bit of a draft. We're doing the draft. We're doing the Best Ball Mania. $25 Rooskies in over on Underdog right now. We're going to do the whole entire draft. I'm going to show you how to win $1 million. $1,001 on Underdog. And if you want to try and win $1,001, if you want to draft with me specifically and say, hey, I could kick your fucking ass and everybody else's ass, then sign up on Underdog Fantasy in the link below. That's where we're going to be drafting on today. By far the best ball tournaments. The best ball tournaments you're going to find out there. The Year 2 Best Ball Mania 2. Thank you for being here right to now. This might reach a new audience, the football audience for the 2021 fantasy football season. So, smack that like button and smack that subscribe button because the football content is here, baby. The NFL draft is over. Let's get into drafting. Why not? Hopefully you out there right now are having a lovely day. It's about to get even better. Alrighty, so we're in the draft right now. As you can see on the screen above me, I got blessed with the number 2 overall pick, which as of right now for me means that I'm either going to be going out there and taking one of Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, or Saquon Barkley. My man who's going first, Fast Fingers, will get to choose which one of those guys that I'm probably going to end up taking. So let's see. Fast Fingers goes with Christian McCaffrey. So do I want Saquon Barkley? You get a nice 30-second clock or an 8-hour clock if you like slow drafts. We're doing 30 seconds because otherwise we'll be here for 7 fucking weeks. Do I want Saquon Barkley or Dalvin Cook here? Saquon coming off the torn ACL. We have Dalvin Cook coming off of a nice season. Nice year for Dalvin Cook. Let's go Saquon Barkley here, Penn State's own. So we'll start this draft off with Saquon Barkley. And here's the deal. This is legit. This is not a mock draft. I got $25 Rooskies in there. You can see I got $1,600 in the account. We're trying to hunt $1 million. So if you want to be watching the video right now like you are, to hunt $1 million, you want to try and come after this $1 million, get up in these drafts right now. It'll be linked down below. By far the best platform you can be on. So here's the thing. These early rounds right now, you're going to start seeing it. And we can pull up the draft board if we want to do it this way, right? We can pull up this draft board and we can see in a couple of rounds exactly what happens. It's very similar to last year early on right now in terms of it's just nonstop running backs being drafted, right? And we see that with the first 3 picks, and you're going to continue to see it. Whether it's Najee Harris after the draft going to Pittsburgh with really no competition in that backfield, going to get hyped up and drafted in a lot of spots. Whether it's right now Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara still on the clock. Whether it's Aaron Jones now with no Jamal Williams getting the money behind him, right? We'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. As of this recording, still a Green Bay Packer. Zeke is dropping. The second-year players in Jonathan Taylor and Cam Akers. There's a lot of running backs. This draft is starting off with 4. Last year, you were seeing, potentially in some drafts, if you were dealing with sharp people, 10 running backs in the first round. It'd be like maybe you saw Michael Thomas in the first round last year. Maybe you saw Devontae Adams. There was like 10 or 11 running backs in the first round. I'll be curious to see how this draft goes as we go through it. I can probably make myself a little bit bigger here. Running back. The first 7 picks in this draft, as you can see all up here, the green is going to be running backs. The first 7 picks in this draft are running backs. And then Travis Kelce goes at the 1.8. I don't like that. Coming off a historic season. If you draft him at the 1.8, he has to do what he did last year. I don't think that's going to happen, even though there's not a lot of competition there, right? It's like the same exact team, except you lose Sammy Watkins. McCole Hardman doesn't seem to be the dude. Nick Chubb. Austin Eckler. It's just nonstop fucking running backs right now. My goal is to get a couple of running backs early. My goal is to get at least 2 running backs in my first 2 picks. 3 with my first 4 is the goal because in best ball, you get 18 picks in this draft. And the running backs really fall off a cliff. By the 5th round, you're looking at running backs that have fallen off a cliff. You're looking at a running back draft class this year that sucks absolute ass cheeks. Outside of Najee Harris and maybe Travis Etienne getting that first round capital, there's not much, right? You have Javonte Williams going behind Melvin Gordon. Don't forget that Royce Freeman's there. I know Royce Freeman is not this high draft pick. I know that you have Javonte Williams with the 2nd round capital. I get all that, but Royce Freeman, there's a reason why they kept him and not Philip Lindsay. They fucking like Royce Freeman for whatever goddamn reason. Bunch of guys coming off the board now. I'm still 7 picks away. So to touch on some of these that have come off the board, we can zoom in on it right here. So you can see the running backs coming off the board up top right now. Chubb goes off the board, and then you get Eckler, and then you get Zeke. Zeke is right now just an absolute value. If I was picking at the 12th overall pick, I'd love where I am right now. This start with Tyreek and Zeke, Zeke's fantastic. Zeke was one of the top 5 running backs in the league, top 3 for the first month of the season when Dak Prescott was healthy, when the offensive line didn't completely fall apart. Yeah, no shit that when Ben DiNucci is your quarterback for a primetime game, you're not going to be a great running back. I love if I get a turn pick and I can start my lineups with Zeke and Joe Mixon potentially, right? Oh my God, what a potential way to start your lineups. That's exactly how we were starting it last year. Mixon was going as like a top 6 pick. Zeke was going as like a top 6 pick once the news on him ended up coming out that he was going to be healthy. So let's see right now as I'm 4 picks away who else is coming off the board. Devontae Adams is falling because of the worries of Aaron Rodgers. Isn't this fucking crazy? I mean, Devontae Adams' ADP right now is 14, and we're currently towards the back of the second round. We're towards like 10 picks away from that. If Aaron Rodgers is able to play just one more year there, right? He has the opt-out. That June 1st date is going to be very interesting, depending on when you're watching this, because June 1st for Aaron Rodgers means that Aaron Rodgers can leave this team. And maybe not leave this team, but they can trade him more easily in terms of having less of a cap hit June 1st. But it'll be interesting to see this next month. I don't think we're going to get a lot of news the next couple of weeks, a lot of speculation like we've already gotten on Aaron Rodgers, but it's just going to kind of be a month of wonder, and maybe you get a really nice spot on Adams. Adams goes in this draft at the 2-8. The 20th overall pick, which is just fantastic. I'm 1 pick away now. We've got a good amount of running backs left on the board right now. So let's look at running backs, because I'd rather go there than wide receiver, although Ridley is still on the board, although Michael Thomas is still on the board. I think I have 2 picks. I have 2 picks in the next 4 picks. So I think I could land one of these running backs that are still on the board right now, a couple of which I really like on the board. I see that we have no competition for Chris Carson. He's still on the board. You get Najee Harris, the rookie, on the board. He's a fine late second-round pick, early third-round pick. DK Metcalf goes. I might be able to scoop 2 running backs here, fellas. Might be able to scoop 2. We have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, Dobbins. I'm not really big on Dobbins. Miles Sanders, right? They only drafted a really late running back there. I'm going to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire here over Najee Harris, but I'm going to hope that I get Najee Harris in 2 picks. I think Fast Fingers with back-to-back picks probably tries to secure Najee Harris here, but if I can secure Najee Harris now with my 3rd overall pick, I mean, I'll forego a wide receiver. I'll forego Michael Thomas if it means I can get a workhorse first-round young running back in Najee Harris who has pass-catching upside. The reason I take Clyde Edwards-Helaire before him is we just have a little bit of a proven track record. People are down on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year, as Michael Thomas goes, we're 1 fucking pick away. Let's see if we can snag Najee Harris. You had Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. One, he dealt with injuries, right? Middle of the season, Le'Veon Bell comes in. This is still a guy as a rookie who goes over 1,100 yards. He just doesn't find the end zone, and he had opportunity to find the end zone, and I think that's more so unlucky than actually a sentiment to who he is, right, as a running back. A little bit undersized, but I think he can still, at 210 pounds, find the end zone, right? Allen Robinson goes, hey, hands in the air like we just don't care. Hands in the air like we just don't care. We got 15 seconds, so let's not fuck this up, Sal, by showboating here. But oh boy, let's fucking go. Najee Harris falls to me in the 3rd round, the 2nd pick of the 3rd round. Come on home, Najee. Come on home with your other Pennsylvania boy, who was actually a New Jersey boy, who was actually originally, I think, like a Queens, New York boy, and Saquon Barkley, but Pennsylvania College. Come on home in Pittsburgh. Najee Harris. Oh, we're starting with 3 running backs strong. Oh, we got 3 running backs strong starting in this draft. Let me show you. Let me show you exactly where we're at right now. With the double box here with my roster. We'll pull up the roster and the double box. We're starting strong with some talented running backs. I mean, we got some worries with Saquon, but we got some strong running backs. I mean, if you're talking about guys who can have just all the upside in the passing game alone, I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Saquon Barkley, Najee Harris on a given week can each give me like 6 receptions. Like, that's fucking fantastic. And now I can attack the running back position 1 or 2 more times in the draft. Now I'm going to go after wide receivers. Unless somebody just falls to me at the 4th spot, and now I'm going to go after wide receivers. Let's kind of see what's happening on this board right now, and I can show you the board as we go through it right now. So let's look at the board. We'll look at it from this big screen right here. So the board starts off with the green guys, as you can see right here. The green guys, if you will. They're all running backs. So this first round was just loaded with running backs. So in the first 12 picks, we had 10 running backs. The second round starts with 3 out of the first 4 picks as running backs. And then it goes on this wide receiver run. So the wide receiver run is interesting here because the wide receiver 2 goes to Steph Diggs. You see Adams drop, right? Adams drops a decent amount because of this Aaron Rodgers news. Then Kittle goes and Waller goes in the 3rd. I get why Waller's going in the 3rd. It's a different, unique lineup construction. Dalvin Cook, DK Metcalf, Darren Waller. It's going to be interesting to see who soccer trees right now can get later on in this draft at running back, because there's not a lot of running backs. There's just no good rookie running backs, or not a lot of them. So trying to go the whole zero running back effect this year, it seems like a very, very tough ask in my opinion. So yeah, I like my start. I like my 3 running back start. I honestly could not be any happier with it. I think we're at a very good spot right now for this draft. Now we're set up really nicely to go with a couple of options here. We have a couple of strategies as the current guys going off the board, if you would like to see. We have a couple different strategies here. You see J.K. Dobbins go at the 3-9. I think that's a decent spot to be getting J.K. Dobbins. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. It's just that I'm not personally on Dobbins. I think he still has competition in his backfield, including one, yes, Lamar Jackson. Wide receivers are starting to go. Both the Dallas wide receivers go back-to-back here. At the end of the 3rd round, you see both Amari and Lamb. Amari goes a pick before Lamb. I'd rather have Amari in redraft. I'd rather have Amari over Keenan Allen. You see Miles Sanders drop to the middle of the 3rd round. That's a great spot to get Miles Sanders. So the board's looking nice as I currently sit. How many picks away? Probably like 10 picks away or so. Yeah, we're exactly 10 picks away. How about that? So we're seeing a lot of wide receivers go, which is a concern because I want maybe a running back, maybe a quarterback, maybe a tight end to go. I don't want to be the guy taking the last wide receiver on a wide receiver run. So there goes David Montgomery. Chris Carson, there he goes. I was going to say Chris Carson's still on the board. I mean, Julio Jones is on the board in the 4th. I know he's getting older. I know he's 31, 32, but we're like 5 picks away. If Julio Jones, I don't think he's going to fall to me, but there's a lot of good. This is a great way to start your draft. Running backs are falling right now. If you have one of those top picks, you are absolutely blessed. You get the obvious stud running back up top, and then you're at that next turn, which is so. I had my pick. I could pick whoever I wanted. I could have taken David Montgomery. I could have taken Chris Carson. I could have taken DeAndre Swift. I could have taken Miles Sanders. I got to pick whoever I wanted. There goes Julio Jones at the 4-5. What a great pick, middle of the 4th round to get Julio Jones. Kyle Murray goes. Josh Allen goes, Lamar Jackson goes. So now the quarterbacks are going on a little bit of a run here. I normally take my quarterbacks pretty late. If you know me, if you don't know, now you know. Take my quarterbacks a little bit late. But I am not against getting a 6th round quarterback if somebody falls. Unfortunately, in this draft, we can see right now that the Kyler Murray would be maybe that guy to fall, maybe a Dak Prescott, maybe a Jalen Hurts in the 6th or the 7th. I wouldn't be against that completely just for that rushing upside. But now that we have Trey Lance, looks like he's going to start at least sometime this year. And with best ball, I can get you as my 3rd quarterback, maybe my 2nd, and take the risk that you play earlier than I think. I don't have to go as much, in my opinion. We're 1 pick away. DJ Moore is the guy I was looking at. He just goes off the board, sadly for me, and Tyler Lockett goes off the board. So I'm going with wide receiver here, right? The wide receiver is the position I need. Running backs, there's not much left, and I already have what I need there, at least for the most part. So wide receiver, we have Godwin, we have Adam Thielen, we have Robert Woods. We have a lot of guys on here right now. Deontay, Kenny Golladay in a great spot as the alpha likely out there in New York right now. I've got 10 seconds to make a pick here. My 4th overall pick, I'm going to be going with Kenny Golladay. I'll take Kenny Golladay. If you're talking about dynasty value from where his contract was, 27 years old, 4-year deal, it's fine. It's probably his last big deal in the NFL. So he's going to end his prime of his career in New York, it seems, unless there's an opt-out. So Kenny Golladay is my 4th overall pick. I pick again in 2 more picks. The quarterbacks on the board, like to start the 5th, I don't really need to go and get myself a Dak or a Justin Herbert personally. If somebody falls to me at my next rotation of 2 picks, I can go there. Jamar Chase just goes off the board. I don't think that that's a terrible option by any means either. So let's see now what we're getting here. As we're at the 5-2, we're around the 60th overall pick. If I can see a Jalen Hurts here isn't an awful idea either, right? There's a lot of great options here, but I think a lot of guys have fallen. I just think guys have fallen right in my lap. I mean, Chris Godwin is still on the board. I think Chris Godwin is a borderline, top 40, top 50 player, and he's here at like pick 62. So Godwin, Adam Thielen is still on the board. I think Godwin gives us maybe a little bit more security. Thielen gives us maybe a little bit more of a ceiling. I'm going to be going, let's see here. I'll go with Chris Godwin. It's crazy how we can get Chris Godwin in the 6th round this year when Chris Godwin, these are my recent picks right now, we zoom in, Kenny Golladay and Chris Godwin. It's crazy. Last year, Kenny Golladay was a 3rd round pick. Chris Godwin was like a 2nd or 3rd round pick. And now they just bumped down off of, honestly, not terrible years. Golladay just basically held out the whole time. He made it seem like his hip and his thigh hurt a little bit more than it actually did just to get the fuck out of Detroit, because why the fuck would you not get out of there? Shout out Kenny Golladay. Shout out Matthew Stafford. Nice to see that those guys actually got out of I don't know who would want to live in Detroit personally out there. Like, if you're an athlete, you can choose where you want to play for the most part. That's exactly why Aaron Rodgers is currently saying, get me the fuck out of Green Bay. Not only are you guys assholes, my biggest event here is like going and throwing snowballs in the wintertime in Green Bay. Like, what am I doing here? Outside of playing football, I don't play video games. I like reading books. I can do that anywhere. Why not go read books in the nice beaches of California? Jesus, Aaron Rodgers. I'm a Packers fan, and I'm just saying, yo, go have some nice fun in your life. Get the fuck out of there. Adam Thielen goes to the 5-5. It's a really nice pick. You can see the picks coming off the board right to now above your boy's head. So Adam Thielen coming off the board right there. That's just a really nice spot for Adam Thielen to go. So you're seeing some picks go. Mike Davis at the 5-8. Oof. I've been curious to see where Mike Davis is going to go. I've been curious to see where Myles Gaskin's going to go. Gaskin, you can see his ADP right over here. I zoom in here. Gaskin right here, Mr. Myles Gaskin. No running backs get taken in the draft, or none that actually matter. Like Jerry Dokes or somebody got taken. It's like a 6th or 7th round pick. It does not matter. It's rare that you see a 4th round running back like an Aaron Jones actually break out. So, yeah, it's interesting. Myles Gaskin's still on the board at the 55 ADP. You just saw Mike Davis go. I think that was a fantastic pick if I needed a 3rd or 4th running back. Like right now, these guys' ADPs are going to correct. But right now, this is the reason why you should be drafting earlier on the underdog. So if you're watching this, sign up down below, use the code SAL, use that link, and go get yourselves some dollar bills and play on underdog to try and win this $1 million. Because these guys and Myles Gaskin, if nothing changes, no veteran presences are brought into the Miami backfield or Atlanta, nobody of at least, I would say, good players, threatening players, right? Then Mike Davis and Myles Gaskin are probably by the end of the year, once all the content comes out and all that, they're probably going to get steamed up to like 4th round picks. So they're going to probably have an ADP around like 45, I would say, somewhere around there. Right now, Myles Gaskin just went off the board at the 60th overall pick. I mean, just went off the board with the last pick in the 5th round. So the 60th overall pick, I mean, that's absolutely fantastic value in my opinion. Same exact thing for Mike Davis going off the board in the mid-50s. Those guys are going to be going around maybe even 2 earlier. Maybe even earlier than that as people really start to push early on the running backs because now, I mean, running back is just rough. You have both the Jacksonville guys left on the board. You have Javonte Williams, who seems like he's going to go immediately into a backup role, and there's still Royce Freeman out there. You do have Chase Edmonds, who is probably the best available running back right now, in my opinion. And then it's just not that great of running back. So, like, if I get back on the clock, I'm going to snag Chase Edmonds. I don't love him. He's got James Conner in his backfield, and Chase Edmonds is nothing that I love too much, but I'm 6 picks away. And if Chase Edmonds is my RB4 in best ball, I mean, now I'm feeling like I already won the $1 million, right? I like Travis Etienne. We made a video. I like him. I like him more than James Robinson in that backfield now. But there's not much left after that. Like, you have your Leonard Fournettes. Edmonds goes at the 65th overall pick. That's a really good value in the middle of the 6th round for the Siege. The Siege just got really good value in the middle of the 6th round than Chase Edmonds. I mean, Chase Edmonds has been going in the 5th round in a lot of drafts that I've been seeing. So I'm now a couple picks away. I think I can have my choice here depending on who's left at quarterback. Do we have any Dak Prescott? Did he already go? Yeah, so Justin Herbert's still there. Probably not enough. Jalen Hurts is there right now. I could probably take a Jalen Hurts. I can try and take him at the 6-10 if there's nobody else there that I like, because then it's just kind of a drop-off. Then I'm not taking the Rodgers or the Staffords or the Burrows or the Bradys. Now I'm just waiting a real long time if I don't get one of these guys here. So Justin Herbert, and we have Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a good value if he can stay where he currently is. So is Herbert. So maybe I'll take one of them. If they're both there, if both of the Herbert Herbert just goes, now it's a little bit of a risk. I think I'm going to take Jalen Hurts if he makes it one more pick. Soccer trees, don't do me dirty. Do not snipe me, because my goal was going to be to just, if they're both there, don't take either of them. Take them with my next pick, 2 picks after the 6-11, because odds are that Fast Fingers wouldn't take both. Come on, don't get sniped on both these guys. Give me Jalen Hurts at the 6-11. We got it, baby. Javonte Williams goes ahead of us. Tough seam. We're going to take Jalen Hurts here. People can think he's not the quarterback. He has all the rushing upside in the world. Give me Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to let Fast Fingers get back-to-back picks and potentially take Jalen Hurts on me. He does not have a quarterback yet. You can see that, which is a really nice strategy. You can see 0 quarterbacks for him here. So he takes a tight end. He picks up his first tight end. I'm on the clock next. Need a running back or a wide receiver. I'm good to not go tight end here. They're all basically the same guy at this point. Cortland Sutton still on the board here. I think that's pretty interesting coming back from injury. So is Will Fuller still on the board here. No running backs here really stand out. They're all kind of in timeshares. I think I could still wait on them. So I'm going to be going with one of these wide receivers that we currently see right now. I think the answer for me is probably going to be to go and get Cortland Sutton. I think he's going to be one of the most undervalued guys who kind of rises up boards right now. So Cortland Sutton is going to be my 7th overall pick at the 7-2, and we can now revisit my overall team now that we have some information. So let's go and see my entire team right now, and we can kind of scroll through it. So I got the 7-2 overall pick, and I went 3 running backs in a row. So let's look at my team right now. The team starts with Saquon Barkley right here. You love that. Goes to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I like that a lot. I took him at like the 1-5 in my main league last year and lost in the championship. If I actually had the guy, I might have actually done something. Najee Harris at the overall 3rd. He's going to be by far the best running back in this class, this rookie class, especially based on landing spot. Him going at the 3-2. I think he's going to quickly become not the top 5 overall Clyde Edwards-Helaire hype, because he's not playing. He still has a bad offensive lineman, and he's not playing with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And I do think, though, that Najee Harris will get steamed up to maybe being like a middle of the 2nd, even early 2nd running back. So getting him at the 3-2, I feel, was a lovely, lovely job. So Kenny Golladay at the 4-11 at the new spot. Wide receivers going to different teams doesn't usually pan out, except when they're these elite type wide receivers. Kenny Galladay's borderline, so we'll see how that works. Chris Godwin, number 5, 5th overall pick, love that. And then I don't like usually taking quarterbacks early, but if I'm going to get one, I want these guys who have massive upsides for having the 100-yard games on the ground like we saw out of Jalen Hurts last year. And that is Jalen Hurts, who doesn't have to do much in the air, who they just kind of showed confidence in by giving him some, I would say, weapons, Devonta Smith, and also by trading back and just eliminating any concerns over the last month or so that they would take a quarterback. And then Cortland Sutton at the 7-2. I mean, Cortland Sutton was a very easy 4th or 5th round pick before he ended up getting hurt early last year, right? He's going in like the 4th, 5th round pretty early. I know he's coming off. I know I now have 2 guys coming off of some pretty big injuries in Saquon Barkley and Cortland Sutton, but I'm fine with that. These are young guys who are going to heal, and things like ACLs are nowhere near what they used to be, right? I mean, an ACL is a long recovery, but it's not lingering like things like a turf toe can be or things along those lines. So I like where we're at right now. All these guys are on track for their recovery. As of this, I wouldn't be drafting them if I thought there was any threats. We're 11 picks away. And we're on a massive wide receiver run right now. So look at this up here. So, I mean, Trey Sermon just broke the wide receiver run, but you had Cooks, Samuel. I mean, you had 6 wide receivers going in a row. Like, you have to take a different position here. And Ben Haver, I don't know if I really would have been taking Trey Sermon, but you just have to take a different position, because if you're the 7th guy in a row to take a wide receiver, you know you're getting the worst of that run, right? You know you're getting the worst value in that time of the draft, the end of the 7th round. Which is exactly what Detroit Party probably just got. He probably got the worst value here in Brandon Cooks, because Samuel, Will Fuller, he saw all these guys coming off the board. He probably wanted every single one of them and was like, I might as well take Brandon Cooks now. And Brandon Cooks might have his quarterback be, I don't know, Davis Love III is who they drafted, which is just absolutely brutal. For Brandon Cooks, you have to switch it up. Anytime you see a run on quarterbacks, even if you want one, 4 quarterbacks just went in a row, I got to wait now. Unless it's like the last pick in the draft and you don't have a quarterback or something along those lines, it's tough. So now we're getting into these rounds where I already have one quarterback. So I'm not taking my other quarterback till maybe, honestly, Trey Lance, the last pick of the draft, I might just go with those 2 and just run the risk of Trey Lance, 3rd overall pick, hoping that he comes in within the first 6-8 games of the year, maybe after the bye week. So I can now get in here as I have 3 running backs. I can start to look at running back because I have 3 running backs now, right? My positionality is currently 3 running backs, 3 receivers, and I have that quarterback. Tight end is something that I probably wait on. Like all these guys, again, they still look the same. Gesicki with a lot of potential targets to go around in that offense, but a lot of guys that are going to be quality guys to maybe take up those targets, with Waddle now being there. Gaskin, a pass catcher out of the backfield. Will Fuller, right? Even Devontae Parker, people forget about. Deep team now. Gesicki, a freak in the middle of the field, though. Matchup nightmare either way. Evan Ingram should get a bump up. Like his ADP is just right now at 128.5. That's going to rise now that they didn't take Kyle Pitts or they didn't take any tight ends really in the draft. The only other, I would say, immediate impact tight end, if there is going to be one, which is tough as a rookie, would be Pat Freiermuth out of Penn State, and he also went to Pittsburgh. So yeah, not much of a threat there. I'm 1 pick away now, and then I have these couple of picks. So I think best available between wide receiver and running back. I'm on the clock right now, and I see Leonard Fournette. As my 4th overall running back, that's not terrible. I see A.J. Dillon. I don't think that's awful either. If something was to happen to Aaron Jones, I think Dillon will get a lot of goal line work as well. I see Michael Carter, a rookie that I'm actually higher than consensus on, but I think I can probably get him maybe next swing around. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get Leonard Fournette here, the man who broke the record for fantasy points in the postseason amongst running backs, I believe it was. Obviously, going to the Super Bowl helps that. But yeah, he had a ton of pass catching work. Leonard Fournette, there was a game where he was healthy scratch last year, and people thought he was just absolutely a bum and dust. And then he comes on for the postseason and looks absolutely dynamite. Leonard Fournette is still a relatively young running back. I mean, if we're talking about Leonard Fournette right now as my 9th or end of the 8th round pick and my 4th overall running back, I have to rely on this guy in a great offense with Tom Brady, who had a ton of pass catching work last year. Keep in mind, Leonard Fournette played 12 games last year, in which of some he was limited. He saw 47 targets. All right, he ended up having 36 receptions, and then in the postseason, he goes absolutely off. So I think I'm set on running back. I can maybe pick up like a Michael Carter, although he's probably not going to be there much longer. But I can pick up another rookie running back later on in this draft. Carter would be the guy. But right now, tight end and wide receiver is where we're going to try and fill. Let's see what wide receiver has to offer, as I am now on the clock with Damian Harris and Tony Pollard going. So I can finish up my wide receivers, or I can finish up my running backs, or I can just go right back to the well with wide receiver here. And Jalen Reagor doesn't look like a terrible option, I'll be completely honest. That's where I'm kind of looking early on. Michael Pittman's here, but I think they're going to be having Paris Campbell come back, and we'll see how that ends up going with the new quarterback there. Hollywood Brown's still on the clock. I'm not too big on Hollywood Brown. Let's go down, and you know what? Hollywood Brown at this point is actually a value. Yeah, Hollywood Brown in the 9th round is actually a value. Hollywood Brown last year in the 7th and 8th round, not a value. 9th round, Hollywood Brown. I know they got Rashad Bateman, who I think is now actually going to be their number 1 guy, but I think that takes a little bit off of Hollywood Brown. I don't think he saw a lot of double coverage, but it takes a little bit of pressure off him. Now that they have another wide receiver out there that's just not like Willie Snead or Miles Boykin just running go routes and getting no separation on the outside. So we're through 9 picks now, 4 running backs, 4 receivers, and a quarterback. I'll be looking towards tight end pretty soon now at this point. Yeah, I think that Hollywood Brown pick wasn't terrible. I think Hollywood Brown, getting him overall where I got him, which was, I got him around the 100th overall pick. I think that's a pretty nice value. I think a lot of these rookie wide receivers are actually falling more than they should. So the next time around, I'm going to see where these rookie wide receivers are, like a Rashad Bateman. And getting 2 guys from the same team usually isn't optimal, like kind of handcuffing those guys. The other thing to talk about for best ball is looking into stacking, right? So I was very close and probably should have, if we're talking game theory wise. Stacking just means less. You have to get less thing right. So you correlate your quarterback with your wide receiver, your quarterbacks with your tight ends, things along those lines. So now that I took Justin Fields, now that I took Mr. Jalen Hurts, stacking him with his teammates makes a lot of sense. So maybe I should have kind of reached a little bit there and taken a Jalen Reagor just to have a mini stack in order, and maybe later on could have ran it back with like a Goddard or somebody else from that team. I would assume that Devonta Smith is already off the board. Yeah, Devonta Smith's off the board. So I think my last option, because I also would assume that Goddard's off the board. So I think my last option is to try and snag a Jalen Reagor here. So I can try and build some sort of a stack. Jalen Reagor is right now 120 ADP, and we're right around that time. So I'm okay to reach a couple picks if it secures a stack. Again, if you're not familiar with what the stack is, it's combining a quarterback with a couple of their pass catchers, which can include a running back if it's a pass catching running back. Basically, because when that quarterback throws to that person, especially if it's a touchdown, it's double points. It means you have to get less right. Michael Carter just goes at the 9-11, one of the last picks in the 9th round. I think it's a really good spot right now for Carter because there's no presences right there. You have a 1-year deal, $400,000 guaranteed to Tevin Coleman. You have dusty, old other players out there that are really not much of a threat to Michael Carter. You have LaMichael Pirine, second season, who did nothing at all last year to show any type of confidence. We still have Jalen Reagor on the board. I'm hoping he can fall to me, but we have a good amount of ways to go. We have 8 picks left to go, and Jalen Reagor is still on the board. He's the 3rd best available wide receiver on the Underdog custom rankings right now. I would take Jalen Reagor. I would reach on him slightly just to be able to lock in that type of a stack. Now, Jalen Reagor, at this point, I don't even think it's a reach if I get him at the end of the 10th round. I actually think that starts to classify itself as a value at that point. Jalen Reagor was right there, somebody that I was considering taking with Hollywood Brown. Kind of regret not taking it, so I hope it doesn't bite us in the booty as we are right now only 5 picks away. Hopefully nobody steals our stack. And then we have to start to build another stack, right? We have to start to keep in mind, and I'll look at this after we can try and get this pick. And since we have back-to-back picks, it might be worth it right now, looking into how we can build another stack. Obviously, we don't have that quarterback yet, but we can start building around the positions that we do have. We do have Saquon Barkley. We do have Kenny Golladay, right? So we have 2 guys from the Giants. Really easy now to get a later round Daniel Jones potentially, and that might be what we do. We might wait another 2 or 3 rounds and try and secure Daniel Jones. Stacking a couple guys from a team makes a lot of sense. If you just stack one, it's okay. It's called a mini stack. It's not as good. But we have Kenny Golladay out there. This is the realization that we already have Golladay. We already have Saquon. All the work's already done. We just have to go get Daniel Jones as my quarterback 2 now. And that's kind of going to decide my quarterback 2. We can look into a couple other receivers that I have and obviously the other running backs. If you're talking about Pittsburgh, all we have there is Najee Harris. I think he could be fine. I don't really want to get Big Ben, though, I'll be honest with you. So I think stacking with the Daniel Jones upside does make a lot of sense. We're 1 pick away now. Can I get Jalen Reagor to fall to me? Again, Jalen Reagor falls to me. I know you might not like Jalen Reagor, but at the end of the 10th round, it's actually a fine pick. And when you factor in the upside in stacking, if Jalen Reagor has a big year, odds are Jalen Hurts is having a big year and vice versa. So there we go. We're 2 picks away now. I think it's too early to be taking Daniel Jones, right? We're at the 10th round. Daniel Jones right now is ADP is 154, right? So I think like maybe the next turn, maybe my 13th pick, beginning of the 13th round could be a Daniel Jones pick. Even that's too soon, but I'm okay to reach around if it means I can secure the stack. So if we look at where my team is, I'm 1 pick away. I'm now on the clock as Cole Beasley and Trey Lance go. I have my 4 running backs. There's nothing left at running back now. Maybe I'll pick up a 5th rookie later on. I could use a tight end in the 11th rounds. We have Robert Tonyan here from the Packers. We have Mike Gesicki here, which Mike Gesicki is probably going to be my answer. Mike Gesicki here, Penn State's home. We're building a Penn State team with him and Saquon Barkley. I'm going to go ahead and get Mike Gesicki here. I know there's a lot of competition out there. I know Waddle now maybe moves into the slot and can steal a couple more targets, but Mike Gesicki is just a matchup problem. That's the issue. Like he's a wide receiver that's listed as a tight end, that lines up as a tight end, that gets to go up against linebackers. Like that's just a matchup problem. And you saw last year how much Tua really enjoyed throwing to Mike Gesicki, albeit he had really no other weapons. Gesicki basically left the game and his season was over on a game where he had like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he kept beasting, right? He ended up taking and stiff arming a guy and driving him out of bounds, which I think ended up breaking or dislocating his shoulder. So we got our tight end. We're in a really good spot now. I'm only looking for 2 tight ends. Ideally, I'm looking for 2 quarterbacks unless my last pick can be like a Trey Lance. Then I'll throw that on there because there's massive upside to be doing that, even if he doesn't play for the first 5, 6, 8 weeks. So now we're in a good spot. I already kind of know the quarterbacks that I want. I want a Daniel Jones. Let's look at the rest of my team now so we can kind of get an idea of the double box. We can kind of get an idea of other situations where we can maybe stack. We already have the stack, the mini stack now with Jalen Hurts and Jalen Reagor. I'm fine with that. Maybe we add another guy later on to that, but there's not many other weapons out there. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, we can't really stack that. Patrick Mahomes is already gone, sadly. Najee Harris, I'd rather stack it up with Daniel Jones. Tampa Bay, I believe Tom Brady already went for Leonard Fournette. So the running backs, it seems like right now it's Daniel Jones or bust. Kenny Golladay, New York Giants. Tampa Bay's already gone. Denver, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to stack Drew Lock, and I'm not trying to get another Denver receiver like a Tim Patrick late or a KJ Hamler second-year Penn Stater. Baltimore, Lamar's already gone, and Philly, we have the stack. Miami, Tua is still out there, so Miami could be a potential stack as well with a Mike Gesicki and or adding a second guy. I assume Devontae Parker is already gone. I already know Jalen Waddle went. That second guy, Gaskin's already gone. That second guy would probably have to be a depth wide receiver, which at that point doesn't make much sense. So we might have to just reach on a Daniel Jones at our next 2 picks, depending on where he is at on ADP, just because I want to secure that mega stack of Saquon, Kenny Golladay, and Daniel Jones. So looking at the board right now as we are in the beginning of the 12th round, it's kind of all over the place. People are just taking their, hopefully their 4th overall running back and not their 3rd with Latavius Murray, who's usually good for 1 or 2, 3, 4. Latavius Murray is actually a really good pick in the 11th round, not going to lie, because he has massive standalone value on touchdowns and as a receiver. I mean, he's going to get his 8 to 12 touches a game, and in games where they get up big, you saw this last year, in games where they got up big, they just gave him like 16 to 18 touches and let Alvin Kamara take a seat. So that's good for him. And then obviously if Kamara gets hurt, you get those massive couple of weeks a season and one of the best run blocking schemes in the NFL for Latavius Murray. I mean, taking David Johnson even in the 12th for the Siege is just an absolutely brutal move. Darnell Mooney in the 11th is pretty good. Tonyan is somebody I was looking at, but I ended up going with Gesicki instead. I think Tonyan is just as good of a play. I would have gone with Tonyan if there was no concerns around Aaron Rodgers. But if Tonyan's getting thrown to by Jordan Love, he's not an 11th round pick. He's like a 15th, 16th round tight end now at this point. We got a couple more picks, a decent amount of more picks until I'm back on the clock, but I'll be looking to secure. At this point, I've got 4 running backs. I don't want to leave the draft with just 4, but I'll just take my 5th later on, because if you don't, you're kind of just throwing darts at just terrible players, right? You're hoping that like J.D. McKissick can do what he did last year, and I don't think that's going to happen with Antonio Gibson taking another step forward. I think I might just secure Daniel Jones, which is an early time to secure him in the 12th round. I think it's actually really early, but actually Fast Fingers, so you can see this right here. Fast Fingers already has 2 quarterbacks. So he's not going to take Daniel Jones. I doubt he takes a 3rd quarterback in the 12th round. So I can let these 2 picks go by and then take Daniel Jones in the 13th round. There is a chance that he could be there in the 14th, and we don't have to worry about it, but it would really ruin the stack that I'm looking for here with Daniel Jones. So with that being said, running back's not really an option for me. There's a couple of decent tight ends left, especially Blake Jarwin coming back on track to be healthy for opening season. We'll see. Opening day. That's about it. There's not really that many good tight ends left. We might have to snag one. But for now, between wide receivers, I mean, you still have Terrence Marshall on the board. You still have Crowder, who's going to have his replacement potentially. All the Jets wide receivers are on the board right now. I think I'm going to be going with, and we can go back to the just screen, I think I'm going to be going with Nelson Aguilar here. I don't love the pick in Nelson Aguilar, but at the end of the day, I mean, Nelson Aguilar right now is probably the wide receiver 1 on the Patriots, and I just got him with the 2nd to last pick in the 12th round. I mean, I just got Nelson Aguilar at like 140th overall. His ADP was right around there, which I disagree with. I mean, I think Nelson Aguilar is, if you took Nelson Aguilar in the 11th round, I wouldn't bat an eye. You took him in the 10th round, I'd say, maybe just value-wise, you took him a little bit too early, but I think that's fine. Next guy up, we're going strategy here. We're going to go secure Daniel Jones. I don't care if you think I'm a round or 2 early on this. The 13th rounds, I'm okay to take Daniel Jones if it locks in the security of a stack, because he is basically, right now, Daniel Jones is basically one of the, I would say, 3 to 4 best quarterbacks left on the board. There's really a good chance in the next 20 picks he's gone. So as long as Fast Fingers doesn't take his 3rd quarterback in the beginning of the 13th round and just try and be a troll and block me from this because he's taking the whole time, let's see what he does here. He takes Elijah Moore. I'm going to take Daniel Jones, and there we go. Ready? Let's put our hands in the air like we just don't care. We're feeling good. I've never felt better about Daniel Jones. It's the strategy part of best ball. If you want to win $1 million, the easiest way to do that is to stack your quarterbacks with their pass catchers. Now, we already have stacks. We have Hurts plus Jalen Reagor. I don't feel the need to stack Hurts as much with an additional guy. If there was one there, fine, but it seems like there's not going to be. I don't feel the need to stack him with an additional guy because he has the mobile upside. Him getting 100 yards on the ground, it doesn't matter as much. It's like Lamar Jackson. If you don't stack Lamar Jackson, you don't have to. You can run him what they call naked because he can go for 100 yards and a touchdown on the ground, and then nobody benefits except for Lamar Jackson. So I'm good. I'm good with having just Reagor stacked. I feel really good about that. I feel fantastic right now about the Daniel Jones, Saquon, Kenny Golladay stack. You got the number 1 receiver, one of the best running backs in the league, pass catching, and now Daniel Jones all stacked together. That feels good. That feels like one of the best potential stacks you can put together, and it's difficult to do because you need a top 5 pick in the draft to have that stack. So if we're trying to talk about being a unique lineup, and we'll go back to the draft in a second, if we're trying to talk about having a unique lineup in this best ball, you need to go into it thinking, I need to stack, I just took Saquon Barkley with a top potential 2, 3, 4 at most overall pick. That's the only people in the draft that can build this type of a lineup. Then you have to get lucky enough to see Kenny Golladay, maybe reach him in the 3rd, fall to the 4th, and then have the mindset to know I need to now go get Daniel Jones, which we kind of discovered luckily in like the 7th or 8th round, I believe, of this video. So, man, that feels good. That feels really good to be getting that stack because, I mean, this is a legitimate bullet. This is not me just doing a mock draft and then at the end of it saying, I did a good job, pat myself on the back. This is me putting $25 rooskies, my money where my mouth is, $25 rooskies in play, and me actually trying to win. So you're seeing me really build what I would be building if I was playing and gambling and wagering because I am. So $25 here to try and win $1 million, $1,001 feels real good. I really like the way this draft is rolling out for me right now. I mean, Daniel Jones and Jalen Hurts, quarterbacks, I'm fine with that. I'll pick up a third quarterback. If you don't like my quarterbacks, I can go get in the 18th round. I don't like going with a third, but for Trey Lance, I doubt he falls that far. But if he's there for some reason, I can go ahead and get him. Trey Lance might have already actually went. So let's see. Yeah, Trey Lance is already gone, so I don't know what I'm talking about there. But we can try and get some other type of quarterback. Maybe a Justin Fields already went. We can get another quarterback if there's one that has upside. Otherwise, I'm here with 4 running backs. I need a 5th. We're in the 14th round right now, right? So we've got 4 picks left. I need one more tight end. I'm currently sitting pretty nicely right now at 6 wide receivers. I need one more tight end, at least one more receiver, and I'll probably look to get another running back. And then depending what's on the board, I'll either take a 8th wide receiver or a 3rd quarterback. I'm fine with these 2 quarterbacks, though. There is, I would say, no better situation for Daniel Jones right now than what the Giants have been doing for him in terms of bolstering the offensive line, in terms of bolstering his weapons as well. So there's other quarterbacks. Zach Wilson's going to start right away. He's on the board. Jameis Winston has a lot of upside. That would be a guy that I would maybe take. So let's see what we got at wide receiver now and tight end. Tight end is Blake Jarwin. So Blake Jarwin's still on the clock at tight end. I need a second tight end. I don't see many other solid ones outside of Blake Jarwin, who is on pace to play at the beginning of the season for the Cowboys in that loaded offense. I mean, Pittsburgh just took Freiermuth, who I don't think is going to be an impact right away for Ebron, but definitely something to look out for. I know Adam Trotman has a lot of thoughts and upside to him. Hayden Hurst just got roomed by Kyle Pitts. Christian Herndon, I don't know if I really trust that, although he could be kind of the flop lag from last year. Let's go with Blake Jarwin. Let's just go with Blake Jarwin here. He's on pace right now. Oh, did he just get taken? Okay, I was going to say let's go with him. I thought I was on the clock. So Soccer Trees is in front of me right now. 8 seconds left on the clock. He only has 1 tight end. He might actually be able to take Blake Jarwin. The guy who picks after me, Fast Fingers, only has 1, so I'm going to take Blake Jarwin here. He doesn't take him. We'll take Blake Jarwin. He takes Crowder, which is an interesting spot to look at because they have 4 good wide receivers now, or solid wide receivers, with Corey Davis, with Denzel Mims, second-year guy, the rookie Elijah Mitchell, and the ever-reliable Jay Crowder. So I got my second tight end. Now it's just wide receiver city for me. I've got 20 seconds to pick one of these guys right now. Josh Reynolds is here in the 15th round. That looks like a slam dunk. You have John Brown as maybe the wide receiver 1 in Las Vegas right now. I know they have the 2 second-year players out there in Ruggs and Bryan Edwards. MVS I would take here if I thought Packers were going to still have one Aaron Rodgers. But let's go Josh Reynolds in the 15th round. I mean, Josh Reynolds in the 15th round. If you're not familiar, Tennessee did absolutely nothing in the draft to get a wide receiver. So Josh Reynolds in the 15th round is the wide receiver 2 on this team right now, and by far the wide receiver 2. Josh Reynolds in the 15th round. Oh, my God. I mean, I just took him with, the 160th, 170th overall pick. He's arguably, right now, Josh Reynolds, if you told me you took him in the 11th round, pretty solid value. So I think we're building as we do this. We're gonna have to come back and cut this entire video and post it when they give me the $1,001,001 check. We'll put this up on the TV and just be like, I'm feeling good about this right now. And this is the benefit of drafting a little bit earlier. Obviously, there can be some injuries and things like that, but people aren't yet caught up on what happened in the draft and how Josh Reynolds is now the wide receiver 2 on a pretty decent team, I would say, in Tennessee, right? A pretty decent team that has really good play action. He came from an organization with the Rams that thrived off of play action. His issue there was, so he ran similar routes and concepts. The issue there was, though, just his draft capital. Yeah, I feel really good about this. We're going to be having, I think, 3 picks left in the draft for myself right now. So at that point, another wide receiver, probably another running back, and then see what I need. Last pick will be a position of need. Is there a good enough quarterback left? Is it wide receiver? Is it running back? Probably not tight end. But I feel really good right now. Really good about the way that I don't feel like we have a single bad player in terms of depth charts on this team. Rager's a number 2 wide receiver. Hollywood Brown's a 1A, 1B. Cortland Sutton's a number 1. Galladay's a number 1. Chris Godwin's a 1A, 1B, right? Aguilar right now is probably the number 1. I don't know who else would be. Edelman retires. It's not Jacoby Myers, in my opinion. Our 2 tight ends are starting tight ends, so this feels good right now. I do kind of want to secure a 3rd quarterback. I don't usually like doing that, but, Jalen Hurts to me looks like a fine option. But it could be something that we look to do. MVS would have been my pick, by the way, on that last one over, although Josh Reynolds looks really good, over Josh Reynolds, and then would have hoped that, actually, I'm happy with Josh Reynolds. But if we knew Rodgers was going to be there, MVS, it's best ball. So if you're just talking about MVS's 3-catch, 80-yard, and a touchdown games, which is like what he did every time where he didn't just lay a donut last year, that's a pretty nice 18 to 20 fantasy points right there. So Amari Rodgers is on the clock as well. So now you're starting to get later in this draft where Amari Rodgers, the Packers' 3rd-round pick, likely is going to be pushing for the slot with Allen Lazard. He was comped to Randall Cobb. He goes there. Again, this is the issue. Do you take the risk on taking these Packers receivers are all on the board? Devontae Adams fell to the 20th overall pick, almost the 3rd round. You still have MVS, Allen Lazard, and Amari Rodgers all right here because we don't know what's happening with Aaron Rodgers right now. And we probably won't know what's happening with him for at least, in my opinion, another 3 weeks until that June 1st deadline hits. So we're getting closer. I'm 9 picks away now. I think it's wide receiver for me. We can look at the running backs. I have 4 right now. It's basically just straight backups. You can go to a Chuba Hubbard as a backup to McCaffrey, although he doesn't even have the backup role locked in. It's not like he got the massive draft capital to secure that. Jamal Williams, who will be having standalone value. I mean, Jamal Williams right now is a decent option for me. They didn't really take a running back in the draft. It's just him behind Swift. So if Swift's healthy, you can still see standalone value. And there goes Jamal Williams, about 4 picks before. So that's a really good pick by Super Plus of Cash, because Jamal Williams is kind of like Latavius Murray's play, except he's 4 or 5 rounds later. And he's on an organization that wants to run the ball. Kenny Gainwell might see some pass catching work, although there is a Boston Scott out there. Todd Gurley doesn't have a team right now. Tevin Coleman at this late. I don't like Tevin Coleman. I don't at all. He might actually get cut by that team, but there's no depth there. Tariq Cohen's standalone value as a pass catcher coming off of his injury. I think my pick probably going to be Tariq Cohen here, depending on what's left at wide receiver. All these Packers wide receivers are still there. Tough to take Deshaun Jackson now because they basically just drafted Deshaun Jackson 2.0, except smaller, and Tutu Atwell. So Dwayne Eskridge goes, yeah, let's go back to running back here. We'll get my 5th running back. We'll finalize running back. I think the answer for me is going to be Tariq Cohen. I think he has standalone value. I like the Jerick McKinnon here in KC. A little bit older of a running back, though. There's not much left here that I do like, though. Like Tevin Coleman, I like the fact that he's like number 1 on the depth chart right now, but I don't know how much longer that lasts. We'll take Tariq Cohen in the 5th round. If I'm going to be taking a flyer on a running back, it's going to be a guy who can just catch passes. Tariq Cohen week, that's a good week, is he gets 7 catches for 65 yards in a game where they're trailing. Maybe he finds the end zone. I'm on the clock right away yet again in the 17th round with my second to last pick. Now we're looking wide receivers. Later in the draft with the 17th overall pick, Amari Rodgers went a pick before me. Now we can start to take a little bit more risks, right? So I'm okay to maybe take an MVS here because he's no matter what, he's going to be cemented on the outside. It's just a matter of who is his quarterback. So with the second to last pick, I'll take the risk because if Aaron Rodgers is not out there, yeah, that stinks. If Aaron Rodgers is out there, even if it's just for one more year with the Packers, this specific season, MVS is a solid 17th round overall pick because normally he'll go in like the 14th round. A pick of Amari Rodgers, the slot receiver mainly, is going to threaten Allen Lazard's slot role. Not MVS, who's on the outside, is a pretty nice best ball fit. So MVS for me right now, this late, yeah, I don't love it overall, but this late I think is a pretty strong play. I think that MVS, I just got him right around, I believe, the 206. I think he's definitely a top 200 pick. If they make an extension tomorrow that Rodgers is on this team, MVS quickly becomes a borderline top 175 pick, 160. So we got 1 pick left. I can go through my positionality now as the draft is kind of moving along quickly. Also, if you're still watching to this point, you're watching all the way through, you want to see the finalization of this draft, like, subscribe, do those things. Sign up for Underdog Fantasy. What are you doing? It's linked down below. You can draft with me. Use the code SAL when you sign up. Be able to get in there for your chance to win the big buckarooskies. So now the draft's moving a little bit quicker, but we're still 12 picks away. So here's my positionality right here. I've got 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. I'm set on tight end. I like both my tight ends. I'm set on running back. 5 is more than enough for how I went 3 with the first 3 picks, right? I'm not set on quarterback if we can find another one. And wide receivers, 8. So this my last pick's either going to be a wide receiver or quarterback, depending on what's the best available. So we can highlight both of those right now on the screen. And let's go back to just the screen version here. But yeah, I'm liking this draft a lot. I think we're about to make $1 million. So you have Cam Newton here as your wide receiver 3. That's not a god-awful decision. Obviously, Mac Jones likely to start at some point, maybe right after the bye. So maybe you get like 6 to 7 weeks out of Cam Newton. But if you think that you're not going to get the whole season out of them, it's probably a wasted pick in best ball when you can get a whole season out of somebody else on here. Teddy Bridgewater now in Denver seems like he's a backup. So we basically have all backups here. You have Jordan Love, which things would have to really break your way for that one. You have Taysom Hill. We only have backup quarterbacks left at this point. Obviously, there's some that aren't just strictly backups, but I think for the most part they are because a lot of guys took 3 quarterbacks. I think every single one of these actually is a backup at this point. I don't see a single starting quarterback on here, at least one that I feel confident is going to start the entire season. You have Taysom Hill, you have Cam Newton, those types of things. So I think wide receiver, we'll go with 2 quarterbacks, which is more than fair. And we'll pick the final pick of a wide receiver here. Maybe we'll go with a rookie just to try and get some upside. And what I'm looking at right now is actually Josh Palmer. I like Josh Palmer a lot if he can stay on the board for us. Josh Palmer was drafted with early draft capital in the 3rd round. It was kind of a sleeper in this past draft. The Chargers took him. Obviously, a good offensive line, a good passing game. Justin Herbert's 2nd year. Palmer now will probably either take the place of Mike Williams at some point this year or immediately be out there over guys like Jalen Guyton. I mean, Palmer now has the draft capital to be out there over Jalen Guyton, over Tyron Johnson, or Tyron Williams, I believe, on the outside. So it's Keenan Allen in the slot for the most of the time. And then you're probably going to be putting Josh Palmer on the outside. So Josh Palmer's on the clock. This is our last pick of the draft. Yeah, I'm going to take Josh Palmer here. I like him over Tutu Atwell. I like him over Anthony Schwartz. Anthony Schwartz did not get as good draft capital. He did go to Cleveland, though, which is a nice spot for Anthony Schwartz. But for me, it's going to be Josh Palmer with the 3rd round capital. I assume he steps on the field pretty early this year. I like it. 9 wide receivers, 5 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, no kickers or defense. That's a nice thing. That's a nice thing about Underdog. They don't waste your time with the kickers and defenses out there. So that's where we're at right now. We'll do a quick little recap, and I'll pull it up right now of the draft. But I liked it. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you watched the entire thing, let me know. Let me know in the comments if you were an OG. Watch the entire video type of person. Check out the other fantasy football content that we have on this channel. If you're listening on the podcast version, hopefully you enjoyed that mock draft. It is a little bit more of a visual show because you can see what's happening on the draft. We go through it as I'm actually drafting and see what the actual platform looks like and who was on the board, but you can still kind of get the idea of this. I liked exactly how this one worked out. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I really enjoyed the way that my best ball team just worked out here. We can look at it right now. We can look at the draft recap on my end. So, one more time to see the entire roster. I'll pull it up this way for everybody. So you can see exactly what we did here, right? We ended up going ahead and we took Saquon Barkley in the first round of this draft, right? Right away, second round pick. And then we got to secure the lovely, lovely stack with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones later on. Now, maybe we took it a pick too early, but I'm okay with that. I'm completely okay with that if we got to secure the stack. And there wasn't that many good quarterbacks left. So Daniel Jones was one of the best available on the board. Odds are he would have went, so I think it was actually the proper time to take him. You can see then we go down. We take Clyde Edwards-Helaire with my second overall pick right there. The third overall pick, Najee Harris falls to us, which just feels absolutely fantastic. Leonard Fournette we got really later on after his ADP goes. Tariq Cohen is just a fifth overall running back. Maybe 1 week he gets us there if he has one of those somewhat vintage Tariq Cohen. I get you your 6 catches, 80 yards, and he finds the end zone. He's got 20-plus points, and he actually, if he just gets one thing done for us as our fifth wide receiver, 1 week he's in our winning lineups, that's fine. So there's our quarterbacks, there's our running backs. Here is the wide receivers, which we went with 9 of them, and I think this makes a lot of sense to go with a lot of wide receivers. Galladay in the 4th, Chris Godwin in the 5th feels great. We went 3 wide receivers in a row, taking Sutton, I believe, in the 6th. Actually, Sutton was a 7th round pick, but we had that back-to-back turn by taking Jalen Hurts at the end of the 6th. And then we get even more solid wide receivers. I mean, these second, third-year wide receivers, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Reagor right here, potentially the number 1 wide receiver coming off of a career year with Oakland last year. Now he's going maybe a quarterback change, but potentially the number 1 wide receiver as my, 5th overall wide receiver right now, 6th overall wide receiver, arguably 7th since we have Josh Reynolds as a wide receiver too. MVS, we take the risk. We get him really late if Rodgers plays, and then Josh Palmer, the 3rd round pick. The 2 tight ends are Blake Jarwin, and also we got Mike Gesicki a little bit earlier on. So thank you for tuning in. I really like this draft. I like it a lot. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. There'll be more of these. We'll be doing these at least once a week, potentially twice a week, depending on how many we want to get out there, how interesting you find these. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you all. If you want to be drafting with Underdog, check it out. Linked down below in the description. Use that code SAL when you click the link, and bam, you're drafting for $1,000,001, the biggest best ball tournament ever in the history of mankind. Check it out down below. Thank you, Underdog, for having such a beautiful platform, and thank you to all of you for tuning in. See you all in the